Okay, so are you able to see my screen? Okay, exception handling is very important concept in any language because you don't know what an issue will occur in your code or anything whatever mistakenly if you make any mistake or you have written some wrong code, so that time an exception may occur. So that will stop the execution of your program and it will quit, and you don't know where that is occurring. Okay, instead of that, we can, if we know somewhere some exception may occur at runtime, so what you can do is you can handle those exceptions. Normal syntactical errors or anything, some syntactical errors or whatever you have written, some mistakes and everything, that can be taken care by compile time, the C# compiler. Okay, some things may occur at runtime. The thing is, what the simple thing I can tell you. So you have two variables, you have assigned one variable value something and another variable value as 0, and you are trying to divide that value 1 with value 2. Value 1 is having some 20, okay, value 2 is having 0, and if you are trying to divide 20 by 0, it will throw an exception because you cannot divide anything by 0, right? So that is an exception. So that time your program will quit. So the execution of your program will be quit, and you are no more able to run your program. Okay, so in those cases, if you want to handle the exceptions, how you will treat, how you will work. Okay, so intentionally if you are doing that, that is other case, but you don't know whether the value may be 0 or something. That time if you want to handle some errors, exceptions at runtime, we have to use the following keywords in C#. Okay, we have try, catch, finally, and throw. These four are main main things, main concepts of exception handling in C#. Okay, so we'll see. Try. What is a try? A try block identifies a block of code for which particular exceptions is activated. It is followed by one or more catch blocks. Okay, so try means it will try to execute a block of statements, okay, or a block of code you have written, and in that if any error is occurring, so any exception raises, that can be caught by your catch blocks. So if you know there may be few exceptions like divided by 0 exception, out of bound exception, some kind of exceptions are prone to happen. That time you can write your catch blocks accordingly. So a single try block, and then you can have multiple catch blocks. Okay, so and then finally the finally block is so catch is a program catches an exception with an exception handler at the place in program where you want to handle the problem. Okay, where you want to handle the problem. The catch keyword indicates the catching of an exception. So if you write try catch blocks, so catch, what it will do, whatever error occurs in the try block, the catch block, you can define n number of catch blocks there. The appropriate catch block will be executed and the error will be processed there. Okay, that's what meant for catch. Okay, and then we have finally. The finally block is used to execute a given set of statements whether an exception occurs or not. Okay, For example, if you open a file, it must be closed whether an exception is raised or not. Okay, that time. So if you want to execute whether the error occurs or not, whatever the situation, you want to execute few lines of code, that time you use finally block. Okay, throw. A program throws an exception when a problem shows up. This is done using a throw keyword. So if you want to throw a custom error, okay, uh, so predefined errors are there in exception handling. So divided by zero, out of bound exception, like that. Few exceptions are there. Object reference not set to an instance of object. These are different predefined exceptions in .NET library. Okay, but if you want to throw your own exception, okay, that time. So the very first day we saw the age. Age means that time 17 to 22 only the age should be. If below that or above that, we have to throw an exception. That's what we saw on the very first class of OOPS. Okay, that time if you want to throw some exception like a custom exception, age exception. Okay, age cannot be less than 17 and greater than 22. That time you can write your own exception class and you can execute. You can raise that exception. Okay, there you can use this throw. Okay, these are four important keywords and blocks we use to handle exceptions. Okay, so we'll see. So basic syntax. You can see here, assuming a block raises an exception, a method catches an exception using combination of a try and catch keywords. A try or catch block is placed around the code that might generate an exception. Code within try or catch block is referred to as protected code, and the syntax of using try or catch looks like the following. So you have try and then catch. You have number of catch statements are there because the inside the try block you don't know how many errors may occur. Okay, so sometimes you may do like divided by zero, and sometimes you try to assign a value out of index, means I declared an array size of 10 and I want to assign a value at position 11. Okay, so my array holds only up to 10 elements. If I want to try to assign a value for 11th position, it will throw an error out of bound exception. Okay, so if your code try block will have these two statements, the appropriate catch block should execute. Okay, so that's why we are defining more than one catch blocks. Okay, that is what. And finally is mainly used to execute whether an error occurs or not. It has to execute compulsory. That's what finally black will do. Okay, we will see this with an example now. Okay, wait. Okay. So you guys understood yesterday's that program. If you have any doubts, we can discuss now. Okay, about that program, because I will our entire course from today onwards. Okay, it will. I will ask only you guys to work on the same class, same functionalities, same operations. I will ask you to do. Okay, so here static void main. So I will declare some variables, int a, int b, and int array some values equal to new int of 5. Okay, as usual I will ask you guys to enter your choice to test the exception handling. Okay, and then one for divided by 0 exception, 2 for out of bound exception. Okay, now what I will do is I will write a try block. Okay, it should have a catch block. And then here I have to get this value. Here we will use do while loop because while I is less than 3. Okay, if I equal to 1, then okay, now I'll use this one. Okay, console.writeLine, enter position to assign the value to array values. Okay, here we should take the position to It's out of range exception. Okay. Divided by zero exception. This is normal exception. I'm going to write finally console.writeLine the finally block executed. Okay, here console.writeLine your dot message. So by default, all exceptions, they will communicate you some meaningful message so that you can access from the uh, exception object dot message, and every exception they are derived from the base class exception. Okay, this is the base class for C sharp all C sharp exceptions. Okay. Okay. So here int result equal to a by b. I'm putting here. Okay. After that, console.writeLine a by b equal to plus result. Okay, here the position I'm adding. So I have my array values of position equal to value. Okay, so here this one I will declare with some few values 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. Okay, and then now simply I will print all the numbers. J is equal to 0, j less than 5, j plus console dot okay, this is what I am printing. So we'll see what kind of exceptions may occur here. I am running this program. Okay, so we didn't enter something. So finally I want to read the value for I. Okay, console.write line. Please enter 3 to exit the loop. Okay, so I equal to int dot parse console.read line. So here, so first time the value is to execute divided by 0 exception. So it is asking some value. Okay, that is 20 for A. I entered, and it is asking value for B. I will enter 0. Okay, so you can see directly we have in order catch index out of range exception is the first, but it didn't execute because the exceptions are routed to the respective exceptions already defined in the system. So the exception defined for this is divided by 0 exception. So it came here, it executes this one, the message got executed, and then the finally block is executing. So if the error occurs or not, I want to repeat the loop by taking user choice. Okay, so it will ask the thing like enter value 3 to exit the loop. So you can see attempted to divided by 0, that is a message given from that exception. Okay, enter to exit from the loop. So I will enter again 2. Now I want to check the index out of bound exception. So I have taken this 2. Now position, I will enter some 6. So now it came to index out of range exception. I tried to assign value to it. So the exception you can see here, index was outside the bounds of array. That is what the exception given. Okay, and my finally block got executed regardless of this error. Okay, this is what my program. Oh, 3 also it is executing. Okay, so this is what, and the third catch flag, it will execute if you throw an error. Okay, if other than this, if some other error is occurring, that time it will execute this. So we will check that error also, what it will do. So what I will enter is, I will enter some value. I will try to enter a wrong entry. So my value integer, this one, I will try to enter some string value. So it directly executes this one. Input string was not in a correct format. So this is a base class. If you don't know what kind of exception may occur, that time what you can do is you just put a single catch block with the type of parameter exception. So it will handle any kind of exception occurs in your program. So now this is input string is not in a correct format. That's what this one will do. And now it will again ask for the same thing. So no need of this. So here we can throw, or we will do one more thing. This one I will print here ax dot message. Okay, and I just entered I less than 3 my condition. So if I provide some 0 value, this one, sorry, else if, okay, here else throw exception, okay, I can simply pass what I want to return, the meaningful message, a meaningful message. You cannot provide a choice with value 0. Okay, there should be new exception. Okay, so this is how you can throw an error. Okay, first time it will ask me some value to enter. Okay, 20, and I will enter a value 2, that is B. Okay, please enter. Now I will enter 0. So the final block executed, you cannot provide a choice with value 0. This error thrown. So I forgot to break it. So I will break it now. Okay, so now again I am going to provide 0. So it came here and it throws an error directly, and this error will be catched by the common exception class. So you do not define any exception for this. There is no predefined exception for this. So the common exception class will handle this. So now it is printing this. Okay, okay, that is how the exceptions you can handle in C Sharp. Any doubts on this program, you can ask me now. Are you guys are good? Okay, I hope you guys are good. I'm moving on to next topic. Okay, so exception classes in C Sharp. So we have C Sharp are represented by classes. The exception classes in C Sharp are mainly directly or indirectly derived from exception class. As I told earlier, the exception is the base class for all the exceptions in C Sharp. Some of the exception classes derived from exception class are the application exception and system exception classes. And the system application exception class supports exception generated by application programs. Hence, the exceptions defined by the programmer should derive from this class. Okay. So whatever exception you want to define, you should use this application exception class and the system default. So whatever exception occurs inside the system libraries, so by some manual operations, that should be derived from system exceptions. Okay, so we have some predefined exceptions in our .NET library. Those are IO exception handles IO errors. So whenever you are reading writing to some files, that time this exception will occur. Means reading writing something, that file not found or something, some operations may happen. So that time those exceptions will be created from system.io.io exceptions. So if you pass some wrong file path to the program, or that file is corrupted, okay, and that file is read only, that time, and you are trying to write to that file, that time this exception will occur. Okay. And then out of range exception, we just saw any array, if you are trying to assign more than its capacity, means the array length is you defined 5 and you are trying to assign the sixth value, that time this exception will occur. Okay, So array type mismatch exception handles errors generated when type is mismatched with the array type. Okay, so the array type. So you declare some integer array and you are trying to define assign some values the other type. That time this will occur. And null reference. If you are if you declare an object class object but you didn't initialize that object, so you just given person person class and the object name is P. Okay, and you didn't give equal to new person, and you are trying to access P dot first name like that something. So that time this error will occur because you didn't initialize that object. So that time a null value will be assigned to that object, and null dot anything it will give null reference exception. The next one divide by zero exception we just saw, and invalid cast exception. So whenever you are trying to type cast, so converting a value from integer to string or string to integer, okay, that time this error will occur if you are trying to cast. So a string value like something now you are doing. So input string is not in a correct format that time. That kind of exceptions will be handled by invalid cast exception, out of memory exception. So whenever you have some memory problems in your machine, that time this out of memory exception will occur. Stack overflow exception handles generated from the stack overflow. Stack overflow means, so by default every program will use some stack memory as well as heap memory. That's what we discussed in the beginning of the class, value types and reference types. Okay, if your stack allocated some memory and you are trying to do trying to allocate some memory, you are trying to put some values into your stack and there is no space, that time this exception will raise. Okay, so these are different types of exceptions. Just 2 minutes guys. Sorry guys, I got some urgent call. Okay, so these are different types of exceptions that can be handled in C sharp. Okay, so you guys are there. Hello, anybody there? Hello. Okay, so next, so handling exception, C sharp provides a structured solution to the exception handling in the form of try and catch blocks. Using these blocks, the core program statements are separated from the error handling statements. These error handling blocks are implemented using try catch and finally keywords. A simple example is just this catch exception, and you want to throw further, you can throw an exception here. Okay, so creating user defined exceptions. So there is already predefined exceptions are there, and many things are there, but still you want to create your own user defined error function exception. That time you can use this kind of implementation. Okay, so here is a simple example which explains a time zone exception, sorry, a temperature exception. Okay, so my temperature class is something here. I will have a message, a temperature is zero exception. So temperature, whenever it falls to zero, I have to throw a new exception. That's what my intention. So here what I will do first, I will define some the main program. This is the main program. That's okay, fine. And here if you see my temperature zero exception, and it derives from application exception. In previous slides I explained you, so everything derives from exception class in C sharp. But whatever user defined exceptions, if you want to write your own exceptions, that time you have to derive it from application exception. So this is anyway again, the it is derived from exception, and exception application exception. On top of application exception you have exception, and from that you are deriving your user defined exceptions. So by default it is meant that the top level exception is there, and the constructor, you can see the constructor, you are passing the message, whatever message you pass it will take that. So in my class temperature, the temperature attribute is there, and if the temperature is zero, then zero temperature you have to show. Temperature means if you want the temperature is something zero, you have to throw an error like the temperature zero temperature found. That's what you are raising an exception. We will see this with an example here. Custom exceptions. Okay, so I have a class. Okay, zero temperature exception. Okay, it derives from application exception, and now I have a variable here, a constructor zero exception, and it accepts a message. Okay, and if you put like this, We already discussed about this. It will call base class constructor if you put like something like this. Okay, so what, that is simple, that it will assign the value to base class, the string whatever you pass. And now I have class public class temperature. Okay, and now here I have a property. I will declare this property and temp. Okay, so this value I will do private int underscore temp. So whenever returning, that is okay, fine, I will return this temperature. And whenever setting, if the value equal to 0, I have to throw an exception, new 0 exception, and pass your message. So temperature fall down to 0 degrees. Okay, this is what you're throwing. Otherwise you just need to assign that value to temperature. Okay, this is what your program finally you are setting, you are showing public void show temperature. Okay, here console.write line, the current temperature is plus temp plus degrees. Okay, this is my program, and here I will ask you guys to enter some temperature. Please enter current temperature. Okay, here int temp equal to console.readline, and then now try catch 0 exception, console.writeline jdx.message. Okay, so here I am creating the temperature class object, new temperature, temp dot temperature equal to temp. Okay, and now console.writeline, sorry, tem dot show temperature. So this is my simple program with a custom exception class created on our own. Okay, console.readline. So I will enter 10. The temperature is 10 degrees. This is fine. Okay, I will close this program and I will run it again. Now I am assigning the value 0. Temperature fall down to 0 degrees. Okay, if you want to see by debugging it, you can see now. So now 0 I entered. Okay, so when I try to assign that 0 value, that comes directly here in set method. Okay, you can see it came here inside set and it is 0. Now it is throwing a new 0 temperature exception and it throws and it is caught by here your catch block. Okay, so you can see the message inside it, temperature fall down to 0 degrees. That is what this one. So this is how you can create custom exceptions in your programs. So any doubts on this? Are you guys are clear? So I hope you guys are clear. So any doubts so far in C Sharp? So that today we are ending the C Sharp basic classes. From next class it is Windows Forms. Okay, so if you have any doubts you can ask me now. We'll clarify that. So you guys are clear with C Sharp?